I just came back from one of the biggest film festivals in the world, South by Southwest, and a film that I edited won an audience award at the festival. Now, these festivals are notoriously competitive to get into, and I've worked on many projects in the past that have not gotten into a top festival. So what was it about this film that helped it get selected? Here are my 4 key lessons that I think elevated this film to another level, and if you follow them, you'll be setting your film up for success. The first lesson is it's all about the story, not the budget. One of the biggest myths out there is that you need to pour a lot of money into your film for it to have a chance at being selected at a top festival. That's absolutely not the case. In the case of the film that I edited, which is called Sweetbriar by director Danny Rivera, it did not have a big budget. It was filmed in his childhood home in Houston, and it only had 2 characters, which were played by his mother and by himself. So right off the bat, he did not spend any money for locations, and he did not spend any money for the actors. On top of that, his crew was as minimal as it gets. On set, he only had the bare essentials. He had a cinematographer, a gaffer, an assistant director, and a boom operator. So that is 4 crew members. Some of these other films that we screened with at the festival, when you look at their credits, they had 40 plus crew members, right? So it's kind of amazing that a crew that was so tiny was able to compete at that level. And that can only tell you that it's not about the crew size and it is not about the money. It is all about the story. You need to have a good story. Now, what does that mean to have a good story? Well, in my opinion, this means 2 main things. The first thing is that it has to be a story that can only come from that filmmaker. In the case of Sweetbriar, like I said before, it was shot in his childhood home and it featured his mother as a character. That is only a film that he could have come up with because it is so tied to his own personal experience. Now, this does not mean that you have to go shoot a film in your childhood home with your mom, but what it does mean is that it has to be a film that has your imprint on it. If somebody knows you and were to watch a lineup of 10 movies, they should be able to tell which one comes from you. And that usually means that it's a very personal story. The more personal the story, the more unique it is to you, and therefore the more it will stand out in a lineup of other movies because you are the only you that exists. The other thing that makes a good story is it has to be a story that people can connect to. In the case of Sweetbriar, it had a very universal theme, which was appreciation of what mothers do. That is a theme that everybody can connect to because everybody has a mother, and a lot of people out there are also mothers themselves. So your film is going to be unique and it's going to be coming from you, but the theme has to be something that other people can relate to. The next key lesson is that brevity is powerful. My first cut of the film was 11 minutes and 38 seconds, and I think it was a pretty passable cut. But I sent it to Danny, and he gave me a piece of feedback that was invaluable. His overarching note for the whole thing was, I want to see if we can try to bring this down to 5 minutes, even if that sounds crazy. Now, at first, that did sound kind of crazy to me because I didn't know if it was possible to tell the same story as it was written by taking out half the runtime. I turned out to be very wrong about that because not only was it possible, it actually made the story a lot more effective and a lot more powerful because it didn't have any dead weight. So what we were left with was a cut that had everything you absolutely needed. Only keep what you must keep, not what you could keep or would like to keep. You'll be amazed at how much more powerful your story is because then your story just moves. It has a rhythm, it has a pace, and it is not bogged down by things that are unnecessary. So in the end, we did not get it to 5 minutes, but we brought it down to 7 minutes, and I can absolutely confidently say that it could not possibly be any shorter. The next key lesson is a good composer is worth their weight in gold. Look, I'm very proud of the editing work that I did in the film, but if there's one element of the whole post-production process that I feel truly elevated the film to another level, it was the score by composer Iron Garcia. When I was editing the film, I was using royalty-free music that I found from a music library online, and to be perfectly honest, it sounded pretty good to me. But when Danny brought the composer on board and I saw the cut for the first time with the score, I realized how valuable a good composer really is. The only way I can describe it is If you use royalty-free music, which we've used in a lot of my projects in the past, that's kind of like wearing a suit off the rack. But if you get a composer to do the score, and it's a good score, that's like wearing a bespoke suit. It is just perfectly tailored to your cut. Every cut blends in more seamlessly, and every shot just has increased emotional resonance. So I would highly recommend that if you can save a portion of your post-production budget towards investing for a good composer, your film's gonna automatically just feel more unique and more special, and it is highly worth the cost. The final key lesson is that it is okay to take your time. Sweetbriar is a short 7-minute film. A misconception would be that it would be quick to edit. However, once the thing was done filming, we were in the entire post-production process for 5 months. That included the editing, the sound mixing, and the score. Another misconception is that because it's a short film, you probably aren't gonna need many rounds of feedback. Wrong. This film had 8 rounds of feedback and 157 notes. And that's just for the editing, not to mention all the notes for the score and for the sound mix. So my point here is, give yourself enough time and space to be able to focus on every little detail of your film so that you can get everything right. It might feel like you're moving slowly, but it's that famous adage of slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Even though you're moving slower on the day-to-day, once you're done, your film is going to be better. And because your film is better, you're going to be more likely to be able to get into a top festival. So if there's an element of your film that doesn't feel right, don't just let it go and hope people won't notice, because they likely will notice. Take all the time that is required to get it to feel right to you. And that is how you make a film that has the best chance at getting into a top festival. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. And hey, please leave a comment. I would love to hear what resonated with you. What's the best piece of advice that you got from this? Or is there anything that you disagree with or that I didn't include? I would love to begin a healthy discourse in the comment section. But that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video.